The secret of painting realistic snow is not white paint. It's actually what you don't paint. It's about this deep dramatic shadows and capturing that perfect golden light. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this skill, how to convert a white paper to this beautiful watercolor painting. Hi, this is Amit. Welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're watching this video. Shall we get started? I am going to start with this sketch. Here I am using ArtGIS 300 GSM cold pressed paper for this watercolor painting. At this stage, I want to roughly capture the big shapes first, starting from the shape of the mountain peaks to the big shadow shapes. Usually, you don't need to outline those shadow shapes when they are small, but here they are in big scale. So it's better to have the lines to clearly establish the perspective. Here comes the most difficult part, cleaning and maintaining my materials. I don't know about you guys, but trust me, I am very bad at this. Let's clean the palette. Ready to go. Let's sprinkle some water to the dry colors and pour some more new colors to get started. Primarily, I would be using cobalt blue to create this sky. This sky plays a very critical role here. The clean, spontaneous blue space gives an opportunity to capture my attention to the main subject. I have pre-weighted the paper by maintaining the needful areas, by preserving the mountain peaks to show the snowy effect, and trying to give one clean wash. It was easy by rotating the paper by 180 degree and maintaining one angle so that I can take advantage of the natural flow of watercolor. Once the sky part is dried, rotate it to original position. I am painting the lights now, meaning the part of the peaks are not covered under the snow has its own color and the snow is paper white. So I am painting these areas very cleverly to show that snowy effect. And I am using very simple colors here. I am using Naples yellow, burnt umber, and little bit of burnt sienna. Sometimes I'm using all of these three to mix and get me a color, or sometimes I'm taking individual all of them to get a variegated wash to create that effect. As an artist, we should be much more observant. We should be able to notice all these small changes in colors in real life. Until we learn to observe those things in real life, we won't be able to apply in your artwork. So I highly suggest whenever you look at certain objects in real life, try to observe these minute details, the changes in colors, the shapes, how the shadows are appearing to a specific object, and what are those colors and all those things. I waited for some time for those areas to get dry off. Once ready for next layering, I would paint the layer of magic, the shadow. Those shadows fall over the snow, and they are also getting reflection of that highly saturated blue sky. So I'm trying to match both these contrast here basically. You would notice slowly I would use weight on weight method of watercolor to show the details, to convince and establish the perspective of these shadow shapes. The current stage of this painting is very crucial until the area dries completely. I can actually make use of that dampness and keep adding these details to show and establish the depth and perspective. Only thing you have to be very careful about the brushwork. The brush should contain more color and less water, else you would end up with cauliflower edges, which is unexpected and can be frustrating at the same time. So be careful about that part. I wanted to capture some warm reflection on these shadows, so I am giving a very soft touch of the orange over that shadow part to have that specific effect. And you see how beautifully that is reflecting here. In this layer, I am trying to create those impression of the rocks which are coming out from the snows, or they are basically uncovered by the snows. So I'm using Payne's Gray, burnt sienna to create a very dark gray, to create very roughly by taking the reference image and creating these shapes. So if you are a very good observer, you might have already noticed that the paper is still damp. Those areas I am making use of that dampness of the paper to create a mix kind of shape which is having soft as well as hard edges. To enhance the contrast of the shadows, I am giving one more layer at this area by preserving the shadow shapes for the snows that I have already painted. And eventually the process continues for the other areas wherever I need to show that details of the rocks which are uncovered by the snows. And please notice how I am keep on giving the layers of dark colors to get my depth ready in this painting. So if I do not give those dark lines or the kind of shapes that I'm trying to create, the painting would look very flat. To avoid that, to give a certain depth to this painting, I am keep on adding those dark dots or the lines to have more depth into this painting. At this stage I observed that this guy needs one more layer because the contrast I felt was not matching. So I gave a very loose wash of that cobalt blue to match the contrast. After that I'm using the white color to add some small tiny details into the paintings to fine tune the kind of details that I wanted to preserve or try to show during this entire process, and that would complete my painting. To be very honest, I enjoyed a lot painting this beautiful scene in watercolor, and I was very satisfied with the result as well. I hope you enjoyed the process that I wanted to share with you. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some value out of it. You enjoyed this video. Let me know your feedback in the comment box. If you're new here, consider subscribing to this channel. I will see you in a next video next week. Till then, bye bye.